Hey guys, it's your boy Rick here, back with another Just Because I'm Biased review. And this time I'm going to do back to my travels in 2022 back in London. And this time I'm going to do the apparent historic XOYO Club out of London, which I'm sure I probably said wrong, but there you go, and let's get started with the review. For Club fairness, I have to give it a full point. I feel like they didn't really hold the line. A lot of people showed up at once and they moved in. The line kept moving non-stop. When I walked in there at 11 p.m. it was still relatively empty, but it got packed pretty soon after. It was like a $15 cover if I recall. I think I paid card. They also did offer the paid admission up front on their website or their Eventbrite version of ours. Full point for Club fairness. The club security gets a full point as well. They did their job out there. They pat you down as well, keep you safe. They did, however, started tripping at some guy because he was drinking in line. But again, you can't blame them for that. It is their job after all. Full point for club security. The club bar gets a full point. The drinks were fairly priced. The bartenders provided pretty speedy service. They were mass producing drinks and handing them out real quick. There was an interesting instance where I wanted to pay with my card, and when I did, before I could tip, they would press cancel and, kept moving it along. Every bartender throughout the night did that. They were not necessarily working for tips there from what I saw, which you would assume is actually pretty cool, right? Can't complain, which it is, but I will say they were not as friendly as they would be here when they want tips. So very interesting conundrum to say the least, but a full point overall for the club bar. For the club vibe overall, I have to give it a full point. They got two main rooms. This is the main one here, and it's more of an EDM type vibe crowd. It's mostly house music, but it's mostly high energy. People are dancing, people are jumping around, people are singing like a rave basically. The second room is basically like a hip hop type vibe, top 40. Cool vibe as well. Second vibe is a little bit more reserved for sure. People are just dancing and stuff like a regular club. People were generally friendly here, had a good time. Look at this friendly sweetheart here, how pleasant she was, just having a good time. It's definitely how everybody should be when they're out there having a good time with other people, be friendly. Like, I never did once think, oh, she likes me or wants to hit on me, but it's just having a good time. We could definitely take a page out of that, in my opinion, here for LA clubs. Full point for the club vibe overall. Club safety, I have to give it a full point as well. Like I said, security did their job. They pat you down, they kept us safe. Personally, I didn't see any drama. Like I said, people were relatively friendly. Although this tall guy was kind of being rude, pushing through people. He actually pushed me and I pushed him back. He let it go. Even though he was like 6'4", I was ready to throw hands, but he just ignored it. Later on, I saw him pushing through again, and he actually ended up pushing the security guard, and the security guard got on his face, and he didn't do it again. Full point for club safety overall, though. Club music gets a full point as well. They delivered what they promised. The EDM played the music people wanted to hear, the bangers, and the hip-hop top 40 room did so as well. Full point for the club music overall. Gotta love Europe. As you can see, it's 2:37. They're still going. I believe it ended at 4:30, something like that. For the crowd attractiveness, I do have to give them a full point. There was definitely some beautiful looking ladies in there. There was some good looking fellas too, some young cats, some young ladies. Can't say much outside of that. Full point overall for crowd attractiveness, in my opinion. For the ratio, I do also have to give it a full point as well. I did feel that it was literally half and half, men to ladies, even ratio. As far as demographics go, it was definitely a younger crowd, probably 21, to like mid-20s. It was definitely a Caucasian heavy crowd, or British, if you will. The rest was probably 10% African American or African British, if you will. And another 10% was probably Indian, or perhaps some Middle Eastern or Persian people, some Asian. I was like the only Hispanic in there. Full point overall for man to women ratio overall though. For the networking, aka hookup chances, I do have to give it a 0, unfortunately. He says as those two are sucking face right there, lol. Oh, but yeah, it was definitely mostly couples, so that's what that was. And people were in groups just enjoying themselves out for the night. This is an EDM type vibe for the most part, and most EDM type vibes like that are where people just out there, looking to dance, not necessarily mingle with each other. Your boy did in fact strike out twice and, notice the situation early on. Saw a few guys that did approach ladies, get rejected as well. Ladies, I don't think you'll be over approached here. Ironically enough, I did end up talking to a security guard for a little bit, and he was telling me that he feels that it's always a time here. For guys who try to pick up on ladies here, he's noticed guys get rejected left and right as well, from what he was telling me. 0 for networking chances, in my opinion, but it's still a good place to come dance and stuff. For the location, I do have to give it a 0, unfortunately. There's nothing else in the area like that where you can move around, mingle if you're not liking this vibe or whatever. And it's kind of far from the other party scenes or the other club scenes. You gotta take the train and all that stuff to get there. And you can't really mingle outside after because everybody's kind of leaving at different times. Now the club itself, it's historic there in London. It has a strong following from what I learned, but it doesn't stop the fact that honestly it is dirty, in my opinion. It was pretty dirty, not well maintained. The restrooms were pretty dirty, and they were early on dirty. It stunk in there like pee, and also there was a very strong body odor smell, like people not wearing deodorant. In my opinion, of course. Obviously, this may or may not be the club's fault, but there is such a thing as poor ventilation, so, you never know, in my opinion, of course. 0 overall for the location, in my opinion. Well, guys, this concludes my Just Because I'm Biased review. And if you've been keeping score, the club scored an 8 out of 10, in my opinion, which is actually a fantastic score. I had no expectations, so 8 out of 10 seems pretty fair. The club definitely delivers high on a lot of categories on my scale overall, and it definitely is something to experience if you're ever in London. It does have that rich history from what I learned. Overall, the club, it's a cool vibe that we have nothing like similar here in LA outside of an underground rave. Maybe other EDM clubs, like I said earlier, with, special DJs, but regular club every night like that, not really, no. I do definitely think a club like that could survive in LA. Well, guys, thank you so much for checking out another Just Because I'm Biased review. Don't forget to follow my pages. I got so many more coming from random cities like this, and mostly in Los Angeles. Thank you guys, until next time.